We're back.
Yeah, back. Am I doing this one?
Yeah, you are. I'm always making you do them now.
All right, we're back. Lockdown series. Before we kick off, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our audio as well, and leave us a 5-star review. So today, this week, we've got. It's been a long time actually. Wanted to catch up with you for a while, Laura. We have Laura Bartlett. So how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I was just scrolling back through our messages to see when I was last on the podcast, because I think I was like the second or third guest that you ever had, and it was back in 2018. So, I mean, life's still pretty much the same as it was then, still hustling. But yeah, it's good to see you guys have kept it up with the podcast. Consistency pays off.
Yeah, it does.
Yes,
Yeah.
well, Mum, even, yeah. I remember you letting us that book. You gave us that book, The Compound Effect. So true.
Particularly, you obviously read it because you guys have been consistently doing this podcast, and over time it's compounded into great results. So, well done.
We're still going. So what have you been up to during this time? Well, we're obviously in lockdown right now. How has that affected your personal life and also a little bit of work as well?
I mean, how lockdown has affected my personal life? Not really, to be honest. My family only live down the road. We're just FaceTiming each other. I have been like seeing them from a social distance, as it were. Like I went around on Easter and sat at the other side of the garden and saw them for a little brief time, because none of us have got symptoms, none of us are high risk. So it's like, I think if you just being sensible and don't take the piss, just going to your parents' garden's fine. But from a work standpoint, obviously I own a luxury travel magazine, and the travel industry is almost non-existent right now. So that's been quite interesting. I'm supposed to be sitting on a beach in Dubai right now. One of my writers is supposed to be in Antigua. And we have like multiple trips just cancel. I was supposed to be in a trade show next week in Marbella, and everything just got cancelled. Advertisers are not advertising, but luckily we've got like income streams from outside of the travel world. So I think we're going to come out stronger on the other side, to be honest.
No, that's good to hear. I mean, from a business perspective, does it kind of scare you, kind of reading headlines? Because I know they're crazy at the moment about the travel industry and what's going to happen in the future. Or is that something that you're not really focusing on at the moment?
I actually try and not read the news. I just think people are scaremongering, and there's too much bullshit out there. Like, you can't actually believe everything that you read. I just think you need to pivot and just think of, as entrepreneurs, this is what we're built for. So situations like this where, the shit hits the fan, things don't go the way you planned, and you have to like think on your feet, come up with new ideas. And that's what we've been doing. But in comparison to other magazines, for example, Condé Nast Travel, they'll have a massive office in the centre of London, which will cost them like hundreds of thousands of pounds in rent. They'll have so many staff. Whereas the way that my business was built was all about freelancers working remotely, living a laptop lifestyle. So we don't have all those overheads that they have. So I think we're going to come out stronger, and it'll be interesting to see who of the competition survives.
Yeah, that's been a common thing, has been saying that. Do you think, Julie mentioned it on quite a few podcasts, do you think that people will, or bosses like yourself, will start to realise that you don't really need an office, you don't really need a massive office, people can be trusted to work remotely? You obviously understand that, but really 80% of companies probably work on this office.
Yeah.
mentality.
Yeah, I mean, there's been so many businesses where people have asked for flexible working and more time working from home, and they've been declined, and now they don't have an option. So I don't see how, once this is over, how can people go back to telling someone that they need to work in an office when people have already proved that they can do the job from home? I mean, I used to have an office when I first started my company like 9-10 years ago. But that was because I had to live in my parents' house at the time, and I just needed somewhere to get out. And now I obviously live by myself, and I've got a office at home, and I literally just work wherever there's Wi-Fi. So I don't believe in the office environment. I don't think it's productive. And the time that people spend, especially in London, the time that people spend commuting into the office, they could be working. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how businesses try and go back to telling people that they're going to have to commute on a day-to-day basis when they've proved that you don't have to do that.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think that it's, I was going to say, do you have any tips for people that are working at home right now that are not really used to it, because I think it's a bit of a culture shock for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think what's happening, what I'm kind of picking up for your social media is because a lot of my friends work from home, run their own businesses. So to like me and my circle, it's completely normal. But everyone seems to be turning into an alcoholic. Everyone's completely binging Netflix. And I think that the secret is just sticking to some form of routine. Don't see this as a holiday. Everyone can deal with it differently. I know some people are like launching new businesses, doing courses, and then other people are just slobbering around watching Netflix, and that's fine too. Just do what works for you. But personally, for me, it's all about having a solid routine, sticking to, normal work hours, enjoying your evenings like you normally would, and then creating something fun to do at the weekend so that you can differentiate between the days.
That's a good way to look at it, especially with the weekends. I found it super hard that the bank holiday just didn't feel like a bank holiday at all.
Yeah, like it was Good Friday on Friday, and I was like, oh my God, it's a bank holiday. And then I just turned my laptop off and I thought, I'm not actually working because I wouldn't be working normally, and just went out for a nice long walk. And then like on Saturday, I did a spa day and I put all the spa music on, gave myself a pedicure. And I just think I know so many people who were supposed to be abroad and all their trips have been cancelled. And I just think just be creative and just come up with new ways to travel from home. So, set up a spa in your living room, or cook a Mexican dinner, or cook a Caribbean dinner, or cook something from the destination that you were supposed to be in, and just do fun stuff at home.
Yeah, it's a good point. Has it made, well, I don't know for yourself, but has it made you realise that there's maybe too much choice sometimes? That being at home's not, I've kind of found it, I think like being at home's not that bad. I used to always want to be like out doing stuff. Now I'm
I think it's been good that we've all had to like put the brakes on a little bit, because I used to have strangers on the internet just reaching out to me and going, hey Laurie, you're always doing stuff, you should just take some time to chill. And I'm like, no, I like to be busy, I'm going here and there. And like I was always doing stuff. Like I'd be in London, then I'd be on a flight somewhere, then I'd be in meetings, and then I'd hardly ever be at home. But then when I was at home, I'd really appreciate it. But now that I can't do all the things that I'm used to doing, I'm actually just really enjoying being at home. I think that what's funny is everyone's kind of complaining about it now, but once it's over, everyone's going to be like, oh, kind of missed that time. So I think we need to enjoy it whilst we can.
Yeah, it keeps being said, like, we'll probably never get this, I can't say opportunity, but you'll never get this moment again, probably.
Exactly. I mean, I see it as an opportunity. It's all about your mindset, isn't it, and how you look at the situation. But I see it as an opportunity, and I think I find it's really bad. I know people are dying, and that's awful, and it's, we could all be impacted by this. But I do at the same time think it's quite exciting, and there's a lot of opportunity to be found. So yeah, we have to embrace it.
Yeah, that's it. You're not the first person to say that it's an exciting time. We said it on the first podcast and it felt, I don't know, I felt a bit bad saying it.
Yeah, because I almost feel like I've had every single message, every email I get every day, and everyone's like, hope you're staying safe, how are you finding it? And I'm like, I feel really bad, but I'm actually really enjoying it. But I don't know why we feel like we're supposed to feel bad. Well, I mean, because we're dying and it's pretty serious, that's why, but...
Well, yeah, but apart from that, like, what are you said you see it as an opportunity. What have you been doing with yourself then, since you've not been allowed to travel? What's been the routine or the goal?
Well, I always had like a pretty solid routine anyway, which is like waking up early. I wake up at like 6 o'clock, go for a walk around the lake, read my book, have a bath, do a meditation, and I'm just gone back to doing that. And then I've come up with a new idea for a business that I'm working on. I've got new clients that I'm working with, and then just coming up with new ways for the magazine to constantly create content, because usually our content is created by the team all around the world, but obviously we're not traveling right now. So it's just being quite fun and creative to come up with new ideas and stuff for our social media and takeovers and videos, and it's been good.
Nice. Before this lockdown, what have you been up to? Because we haven't seen you for ages.
What have I been doing? It's like it all just blurs into one these days. I can't even think what I've been doing in the last 2 years, but just more of the same. Continue to publish the magazine. We just had issue 18 out now. Won a couple of awards, traveled more. I think I've been abroad 60 times in the last 5 years now. So
Must be
And I
racking
went
up those air
abroad.
miles.
I think I've been abroad maybe 25, 30 times since I last spoke to you. So just been all over the world, really, keeping busy. Same old, same old.
What does the you know that all the traveling people probably wonder like what was the best part of it, and is there any bad parts?
No, there's not any bad parts, but actually, since we're on a podcast, I've come up with my own idea for a podcast, and it's going to be called the Truthful Traveler, and I'm going to record my like an episode next week as like an introduction, because I feel like when people go to travel magazines or like Instagrammers who are travel bloggers, and you just see these beautiful polished pictures and you don't really know what goes on behind the scenes. And like from some of the trips that I've been on and some of the people that I've met, there's so much that you wouldn't know just by seeing a picture. And I'm sure I mentioned it to you guys on the first podcast when you asked me about where I'd been, and I said that I'd been to Richard Branson's house in Marrakesh, and I ended up getting really drunk, and I kissed the newly married couple. I kissed the wife in the pool. So just random stories like that. So I'm going to launch this Truthful Traveler podcast just as a bit of fun, really, in lockdown, so we can still kind of get lost in stories of travel, but it's all about being a bit witty and fun. And I'm going to interview loads of travel influencers and get them to dish the dirt from their trips.
That'd be really good because, like you said, I've watched like even like vloggers and stuff. Everything just looks amazing. You never see any of the bullshit or even just the funny stuff. Like it's hard to get that true, authentic story, I reckon. From
yeah, and I just think like in this day and age, everyone's crying out for authenticity, and everyone wants to know, like, stop being so polished all the time, stop trying to be so perfect, and let's just keep it real.
Yeah, you actually taught us that the most with that book, because we must have fucked up thousands of times with this podcast, like so many times, with so many things, and if we'd have been scared, we would have never started it. We would have never have, like, if it was always wanted it to be polished, we'd never have fucking
never really dropped anything, never released anything. Yeah.
No, we wouldn't. We'd have been so concerned.
So
what's the biggest thing that you guys have learned from doing the podcast for so long now?
Biggest thing I've learned, I don't know. There's been quite a lot of lessons that I've learned from the podcast, but one of the main things is being accountability. I'd probably say being accountable for something, and I think we do one of the main reasons why we've kept going is James keeps me accountable, and I keep him accountable in a way. So I'd probably say accountability.
Yeah, I'd say similar, like consistency, just doing it. Like last year, 2019, we said we'd do one episode every week, which is quite a lot in the end of the year. But we still managed to bang them all out, which was it was a lot of fun. And then other things was like investing back in ourselves. We moved to a studio that you saw us at.
Yeah.
And then we were paying out for that about, was it £200 a month?
Yeah, something like that.
So we're paying like a bit of rent there. And then there was a period of 8 weeks where we were working a lot and then traveling. And then we were on holiday together. And then we were still getting invoiced. And Julian was just like, I'm fucking sick of getting invoiced.
Yeah, cancel that.
So then you won't be able to see, but where Julian is now, well, obviously it's his house, but we built a studio there instead.
Great idea. And I'm guessing that Julian's not sending you invoices.
Not yet.
No, we send them out now.
Well, yeah, that's it. Consistency. It's been a lot of fun, and we met so many people. Like we started it to grow like a network. We probably told you the first time we met you.
Yeah.
But now it's crazy, especially around Leeds. Like there's so many people doing so many different things. You'll obviously know that more than even we do. But it's just been crazy to see and work with so many different characters.
It was so cool to see that you started doing like the live podcast recordings as well. They looked really good.
Yeah, that was fun. We did the first one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and really.
And that day couldn't. Do you know what? It couldn't have gone any worse.
Oh, really?
On paper before. Like if you said like, what's the worst thing that could happen? We wouldn't have even guessed. We got a phone call like an hour before we're gonna set up. We're literally having brunch. Pick the phone up. It's like it was Neil from King Kobe, because we use Kobe as the spot. He's like, yeah, all the fucking power's gone off, all of it. We don't have any electric. And I was like, are you was like, oh shit. So we went to B&Q, bought loads of like
400
builders
quid's
lights.
worth
He'd like
of
run
builders
power
lights.
from another building over there, lighting candles and shit. And then when we did it, it felt sick. Like and then obviously the other thing is like, oh, will people turn up? And then we had like 50 spaces. We had like 50 people. It's proper small little intimate venue, and it was class. Like it was proper good.
That's so good. I mean, obviously you can't do anything like that now, but is that the plan to keep doing stuff like that once we're out of lockdown?
Yeah, it was good. We had really good feedback, to be fair. So that would be the plan, to do like a couple of those a year, or start to roll them out a bit more.
A few more challenges as well.
I found it interesting, like watching all the people that you had as guests over the time. So like Jodie from Thrive, Laura, she's one of my friends. So not a good friend or anything like that, but I thought I loved watching how you like diversified and had such a cool range of guests over the last 2 years.
Do you know what? You couldn't if you put them all in a line, like a police line.
Yeah.
No two are the same. It's been so random. We've had like bare knuckle fighters, you know, yourself who runs like a luxury travel magazine, world champion boxers, rugby players. It's been, I don't know, it's been pretty crazy actually to sit and talk to these people. It's been a lot.
I mean, have you found, I feel like I'm interviewing you now, but have you found from like doing all these interviews over the last couple of years that there's like a running theme? Because I remember before when I spoke to you that you'd interviewed a lot of men and there was a lot around like men's mental health, but like has there been a bit of a running theme throughout the years of like a recurring message or something that stands out that every single person seems to go through?
Yeah, I'd probably say there's been quite a few, man. I'd probably say a lot of them to do around, again, what we've said, accountability is probably been a big one. So a lot of people that ends up coming on the podcast, a lot of the time they've done something, they've achieved something, whether that's, again, like bare knuckle boxing, but accountability and how people keep themselves accountable has been a super reoccurring theme, I'd say.
Yeah, and then obviously, like we said before, like consistency. Mental health was a big one, like having people come on and tell us stuff that like my friends wouldn't even tell me, and then you've got like strangers just like proper opening up to you. It's pretty crazy. So like just being, I don't know, like honesty. It's hard now, you put us on the spot. Many, like the biggest one was like, don't judge people on how they look or what you or even how like you think they might be, because you trust you will be wrong. You definitely be wrong. Like any kind of like image or like thought that you project onto someone, it's normally bollocks. Like you need to like realize you're doing it and just give someone the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, and judge people based on your own personal opinion and not what other people have told you. I think that's the main one.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, big time. But yeah, mental health's been the big one. Like how you can, especially like around this time, because people being at home and stuff like that, it kind of, we were saying with Neil, it kind of strips you back to something. You don't have any crutches of like, I don't know, like designer clothes or the gym or anything like that. You are stripped back to just who you are. So if you're not comfortable being with yourself, it's probably quite a horrible time.
Yeah, I was reading a statistic that suicide rates have increased by 37% since lockdown began, and that it's like statistics like that are quite worrying.
37, wow.
Yeah, wow. It's not surprising, but it's that's probably what that rate is probably just as bad as the corona rate.
Yeah, definitely, because that's the thing, there's all these other things happening, but corona's like taking the limelight. Everything else is taking a back seat, and we need to remember everything else that's going on as well.
No, definitely, 100%. You know, kind of on that, my dad works on a chemo ward at St. James's, and it's exactly that. A lot of people that need the treatment are not able to get the treatments right now, and I don't know, that's not something that you don't really see in the news, I don't think. It's all corona, but what about other people as well? That
so true. And also a lot of these people that are dying, it's like, is it really the corona that they're dying for, or is it like the chemo, or because they can't have the chemo and they're just putting it down as corona because it's happened at the same time? I'm not sure about the numbers adding up, but who am I to say? Don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, do I?
Yeah.
We've had a few of them on here. We've had a few of those little conversations now. It's like sparked so much of it, but
But it just feels, I don't know, everyone that we spoke to, everyone feel like, if I get the feeling anyway that, I don't know, there's more to this story than, I don't know, we're kind of led on to believe. It feels like.
Yeah.
Feels like
I
everyone's
agree.
just in a panic and fear, but underneath that, I think there are probably a few selected people in the world that know exactly what's going on.
I agree. I actually stopped because I haven't watched the news for years, and I did start watching it when this came up, like when lockdown started. I was literally waking up in the morning. The first thing I was doing was checking my phone, refreshing, see how many people had died, see what the increase was day on day. And I thought, after a week of that, I was like, man, I'm getting depressed. Like, this isn't me. And then for the last week, I've not watched the news or anything, because it's like you're going to find out what's going on just through your family and your friends. I think that's like one thing that people should try and do now, is just avoid the news and focus on things that make you happy.
I was gonna say, because you're kind of in like media and that sort of stuff, right? And it seems to be like hyper competitive for like clicks and clickbait even before all this happened. But now it just seems like the perfect storm for like newspapers and like media outlets online to drive traffic to their websites more than ever. So do you think that's what we're in like a danger of, is
Yeah,
leverage something like this?
I think a lot of people are using it to their advantage. And then, so at my magazine, we're not a news outlet, we're a travel magazine. So we're all about living your best life. We're all about, see the world, have some fun. We don't do clickbait, we just keep it real. So when this situation came about, I just released a statement across our social media and our website and our newsletter. And it just kind of said, we still love the world, but we need to have a break from it. This too shall pass. We're still going to be providing you with some escapism and travel content. We'll tweak it slightly so that it's still, we're not encouraging people to like go abroad or anything. And then after that one reference, we've just kind of gone back to business as normal, because I read a survey which basically said sort of 80% of people are sick of hearing businesses talking about COVID-19. And it's like, I'm getting endless emails from businesses that I thought I unsubscribed from, or that I thought I didn't even subscribe to in the first place, sending me emails about it. And it's like, stop acting like you are a news reader or the president. Like, stick to what you know. It's all right to reference it, but then stop putting too much information out there.
Yeah, all people really care about is how are you trying to look after your employees, really. But then again, if you don't work for these companies, how much do you care, really? As long as you're doing the right thing and it's nothing crazy like, I don't know, Tim Martin at Wetherspoons was telling everyone to go to get a job at Tesco. Like, which, when if you'd have done it in a sensitive way, I know they're all on 0 hours contracts at Wetherspoons, so yeah, it kind of makes sense. By law, he doesn't have to pay them, but the way he did it was just pretty shitty. But to be honest, public probably won't remember it anyway. As soon as it's lifted, everyone will be in.
Everyone's going to be in Wetherspoons, aren't they, where it's cheap?
That's what I'm saying.
But I
just bought loads of new clothes from ASOS, whatever you call it. And then I've just read an article. Well, my friend sent me the link to it, and it said that ASOS and Pretty Little Thing are sort of exploiting their staff. They're not giving them the protection that they need. They're just sort of saying to them, produce these packages, send them out. We don't really care about you. And then I was like, oh, I feel really bad. I've just spent like £300 on ASOS. Because it's not essential, is it? And I don't need I was trying to get a new wardrobe together for when this whole thing's over, but there you go. Someone needs to have to with the MD.
They're saying that stuff online is like spending online is like increased loads because people just sat around more than ever.
Well, it's like in the last week, I've bought a new Hoover, a new telephone, a new mobile phone, some new shelves, some new drawers, be looking at new cars. I'm like, can you buy a car in lockdown? I've bought so much stuff in the last week just because I've got so much extra time to just be like scrolling the internet. And I've spent so much money on Amazon. And I was reading an article today that Amazon are recruiting 17,000 new members of staff to deal with the increase. It's mad.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I think we are entering a new world though now. I don't know. It feels like we're definitely going into a new space.
And that's where the opportunity lies.
Yeah.
If you had to put some like a bet, what would you say that the future looks like after this is path.
I think that everybody's saying they're going to, you know, respect the world more and they're going to take more care. But I think everyone's just going to rush back to normality as soon as possible. And this will just be a distant memory, like nothing happened.
Yeah, it's sad, but it's the most likely outcome. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Hopefully not, but we'll see. We'll see.
Time will tell.
So it's kind of related to something we kind of kicked off the podcast, and I wanted to ask you this before, but we just got chatting. So we was talking about traveling, and we had a guest on last week on the podcast. We've not dropped it yet, but it's the owner of Fazendas. I don't know, you might know him from around, but we was talking about how important it is to travel, see the world, and basically get new experiences from traveling. And who's not a better person to ask that than you? So what do you think are some countries that people should visit to? Because a lot of my friends that I grew up with around school never travelled and, you know, live where they live. So if we can kind of get into that and talk about where's some cool places to check out.
I think travel is something that everybody needs to do, and it really helps to mold you as a person. I think by seeing new cultures, meeting new people, you become less judgmental, you just become a person of the world, you're happy to, you know, engage in unique conversations, you've got more things to talk about. Personally, to me, the Caribbean is where it's at. Like, you're guaranteed to have fun. Like Barbados, I've been there 3 times now. I absolutely love it. The minute you get off the plane, they're playing the steel pans, and I went there for crop over once when Rihanna was there, and it's just insane. So I think the Caribbean, but then my happy place is New York. I think that's like just a no-brainer. And then, do you know where I absolutely loved? I thought it was the most romantic city in the world, Amsterdam.
Amsterdam.
Yeah. Obviously, you can go and get high and everything. That's all fun and games, and it's supposed to be really sleazy. But I actually thought it was a really beautiful city. So I think one of the pieces of advice I would give with travel is, although this is probably slightly contradictory given that I'm a publication writing about travel and encouraging people to go places, is don't always believe what other people say. You have to go and experience it for yourself. Like, I'd rather see something once than hear about it 1,000 times. And I think that's the sort of motto that people should keep in mind, and just go and see the world. Like, if I've had a friend who went to a specific place and she hated it, and then I went and I loved it, it's like we're all different. So you have to just go.
With Amsterdam, what was your expectation, and then what was your reality?
My expectation was that it was going to be really sleazy, really tacky, and it was actually just beautiful, like the bridges, the scenery, the people, so much to do. Obviously the weed was great as well.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. I don't know, traveling, it's stupid to say it, but it's so true. I don't know, if everywhere you go is just different, and even the people, like the food you have, the things you see, like when you actually do it in person, it's like the best feeling ever, like learning something new. So
exactly. And I think you will never forget the places that you travel to. They will form part of your character for the rest of your life. So that's why I think travel is really, really important. Even if you can only afford to do it once a year, you know, 10 times a year, whatever. Even if it's just, you know, UK travel and you can't go abroad, just having a change of scenery sometimes does magical things for the soul.
Do you know what? That's a good point, actually. The UK side, I used to, and I kind of still have it. So apologies to anyone that lives on like seaside towns or whatever, but I used to think like, oh, everywhere in England's probably pretty shit. I know it's a bit harsh, and I know it isn't. I travel the UK for work, so give me a break. But is there any places in the UK that you recommend? I think that's quite an interesting topic.
I think that everybody should go on a staycation in their own city. So I'm from Leeds, and I've stayed in pretty much every hotel in Leeds. I've been to pretty much every restaurant. I had like a couple of years ago, me and my friend, we stayed in this new hotel in town called the Bells, and we went to like the art galleries, and we did all the things you would do as if you were a tourist in your own city. So I think, especially with what's going on with coronavirus, when these bans are lifted, it's going to be a gradual process where you can start going to places in your city, then your country, and then another country. So I think whilst we're doing that gradual reopening, that people should take the time to maybe think about things that they can do in their own city. But I love the seaside. I love Scarborough, as tacky as it is. But I like luxury hotels. I like Cornwall. The Cotswolds is beautiful. The Lake District, actually, that's my favourite.
Yeah, Lake District's a very good shout. Guys, the Zoom's about to cut off in 1 minute, so I'm gonna put it on pause and call you guys back.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Before we get into the lockdown questions, I'll ask you, Laura. So, can you recommend 3 places in Leeds to go to? 3 random places.
So for dinner, it has to be San Carlo Flying Pizza, and you have to have the truffle mushroom risotto. It's amazing. Then you have to go to Roundy Park for a walk around the lake. It's very tranquil,
100%.
beautiful. It's where I go most days. And if you want to go out for drinks, then Angelica is where it's at. But here's the thing, I am not down with the kids anymore. I literally live near San Carlo and I just go there all the time. I don't even go into Leeds City Centre. So there's probably loads more new stuff going on that I'm not even aware of, which is why I'll be going on a staycation here very soon.
Nice.
All right. So we are all locked down. So we've got 4 questions for you. The first one is, if you could be locked down with any 2 people, dead or alive, who would they be and why?
Probably Tupac, because I think he would be very, very interesting to be locked down with, and I think he's pretty creative. So I imagine you have quite a lot of fun. And Oprah, because just imagine how inspired you would be after 3-5 weeks stuck in a house with Oprah. Plus, she's a great cook. I've been following some of her live sessions, albeit with Jamie Oliver. So she could come and cook for me, inspire me, and Tupac could create some songs for us.
Solid.
Would you ask Tupac if he was who killed him?
Say that again, sorry.
Did you find out who killed Tupac?
No idea. I mean, no. I just remember having the debate years ago about like the Tupac Biggie Smalls debate, and then falling out with people who would always take Biggie Smalls side. But my feelings on that matter have subsided.
Okay.
Nice. Second question: if you can recommend a book for people to read during this time of isolation, what is it and why?
Let me just have a little nosy on my bookshelf. Book to read now. I don't know actually. I tell you what, you should read The Magic by Rhonda Byrne. It's the follow-on to The Secret and Power. And The Magic is a 28-day rituals. Each day you do something different, visualization, manifestations. And by the end of the 28 days, which we all have now in lockdown, you will have manifested amazing things. So The Magic.
You mentioned that book, I remember, in fact, when you came on the first time. Magic.
Yeah, it's really good. But you know what? I've never made it to the end of the 28 days because I follow the rituals or whatever you want to call them each day, and amazing things start happening. And I've been just like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then I never make it to the end.
Forget.
So actually, I'm going to take my own advice and start it again now.
Nice. What's the first thing you'll do when lockdown is lifted?
Get my eyebrows waxed.
That was quick.
That was already loaded. That was ready.
And last question. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Were you saying?
No, because I literally was just scheduling a thing to go out on my social media in a few days' time, which said, "What's the first thing that will you do when you get out of lockdown?" And I literally put, "Get my eyebrows done, go to the hairdressers, get my nails done, and go to San Carlo for a pizza."
Lock and loaded and ready. Last question: have you got a goal that you've set yourself at all throughout isolation that you want to come out on top of?
Just with really just sticking to my routine and moving forward with this new business idea that I've had. But I think also as well, I can be quite guilty of putting too much pressure on myself all the time. So as someone who's like spent years getting up at 6 a.m. for the last year, like being with my partner and him being a late sleeper, I then got into the habit of sleeping in late, and then I beat myself up about it because I'm just not used to that. So it's making sure that even though I've created this routine, if I don't stick to it most days, or 1 day a week or whatever, then that's fine too. I think we can be guilty of just putting too much pressure on ourselves sometimes. So just make sure that I don't do that.
Yeah, that's great advice. That's solid advice. Everyone could take that. I think we're all a bit too hard on ourselves at times.
Yeah. And it's so easy to like, I mean, I'm not one to do this because I've actually set up a thing on my phone now where I only get access to social media for 1 hour per day. But you can get so consumed in comparing yourself to what other people are doing. And especially people who have got kids, you've got these women acting like mum of the year because they're homeschooling, cooking amazing dinners, baking banana bread. And some women are just like pulling their hair out and trying to get by. So just don't compare yourself to what other people are doing. Like, we're going through a global crisis, and you can just deal with it in whatever way works for you.
And that's such a good point. That is so true and relevant. Definitely. I take a piece of that pie too there.
Good.
Nice.
Well, on that note, you mentioned before we sign off, you mentioned new business that you're looking to work on. Can you share anything a bit more about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but it's all about self-care and me time, and just sort of taking that time out to focus on yourself without feeling guilty. So it's going to be like workshops, online workshops, and like yoga classes, meditations, all self-care under one roof, in the form of like a membership club. So work in progress, but as soon as it's ready, I'll come back on here and talk about it.
No, that sounds interesting. Definitely. Boom. Well, Laura, awesome talking to you. Hopefully this lockdown doesn't go on too long. And if it does, we'll catch you on a part 2 of the of the podcast at some point.
Next time we're like, I hate this lockdown, I've had enough.
My eyebrows are massive.
yeah, my eyebrows would be like that. Oh dear. Yeah, you should do like daily podcasts with people throughout lockdown to see how they change from day one to when we don't even know, do we, when it's going to end?
I get stained t-shirt, beard.
Oh man.
Cool. Well, all right, guys. I'm gonna sign off on the vid, and I'll have a quick chat with you guys after.
Thanks.